Talking with the Experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. My name's Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com, and Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners, and you can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. And today my guest is Mandy Price, and Mandy's business is Welcome to Wellness, and we'll be discussing recovering from burnout. And Mandy is an educator, counsellor and celebrant who runs her own business, Welcome to Wellness. Her mission is to inspire women to value their health and prioritise it to avoid adrenaline burnout. Mandy has worked in the area of health and personal development for decades and is passionate about reminding women of how they can live healthier and happy lives, especially in these challenging times. Having left the security of the Education Department 6 years ago, she has needed to develop many new skills as an entrepreneur and has a newfound respect for those people who choose to start up and run successful businesses. Thank you for joining me, Mandy.
Thank you, Rose. Welcome. I'm very happy to be here.
Terrific. So, I know that running a business requires a lot of commitment. I know that, and you need to be on the ball 24/7 pretty much. So you need to be, obviously vision driven, and you work, long hours. And so how can people avoid the burnout in the first place?
Well, personally, the idea of being very mindful about how much time you're spending in a work mode and getting that balance and knowing that your body needs time to recover, needs time to be, not working physically and mentally, and making sure that those times do happen. And it might mean changing a natural behavior to just go, go, go. It might mean actually realizing that you may need to do it differently. If in fact you don't learn ways to do it differently, you may end up having to as a consequence of losing, your vitality and your good health.
I know a lot of us, especially women, don't have holidays from their business, because we've got children, we've got a partner or a husband, we've got a household to run. What can we do to find that inner wellness that we all need to have to be able to thrive?
I've got a page on my webpage called Schedule Self-Care. So I suppose it's about valuing and acknowledging the importance of it. And I speak at retreats, which I hold for women to rest and restore, that if we don't actually consider our health a very important asset that we need to look after, it's very easy to take for granted. And if you allow your health to get so bad that in fact you end up running around and getting exhausted and getting resentful and getting inefficient, and you get actually gradually sicker and sicker, then one day maybe you cannot care for all the people in your life. You can't do all the things that you want to do, and you actually become the one that needs to be cared for. So I talk about us having to have, it's our own responsibility, because if you do love having energy and being vital and getting the most out of life, burning the candle at both ends is a short-term scenario. If you attempt to do that for a really long time, and I know from experience, our bodies have limits. The adrenal system put under pressure like that without some rest. So ways, you asked Rose, ways. Well, scheduling the self-care, you can do it in terms of a full day away. You can make sure you do get occasional weekends away where it's not work focused. But during the day, even if during the day you can stop from that busyness, because adrenal burnout, which is what Dr. Libby Weaver talks about, comes about from having our fight or flight system in high alert too long. And our adrenals are just pumping adrenaline and cortisol all the time while we go from one task to the next. And if during the day you can be conscious that you are rushing, and you can actually, one of my little strategies was when I got into the car after a day of work at a school, and I would drive, and I often get quite tired and relaxed before I get home, especially in winter. Well, I would follow that sensation. Instead of going in and having a cup of coffee, I'd just lay the seat back for about 5 minutes and have what was now known as power nap. Not everybody can have that same sense of relaxation. I could do it for 15 minutes, wake up, open up the car door, step into the house, and I've changed from being Miss Price to Mum. And I could do that. It was a transition. If you don't have that fraction of time, just a minute or two, when you stop the car before getting on with the next task, allow yourself the breathing that involves lots of exhaling out for a long time, because this tells our parasympathetic nervous system that to calm down, and it actually creates the better hormones. It decreases the cortisol and the adrenaline.
Yeah, so I know all the good, the feel-good hormones like cortisol and all of those, not cortisol, serotonin and all of those ones.
Yeah.
How can we make them a lot better during the day when, we're having a really stressful day, especially, the million phone calls or a million text messages or messages, just, and then you get home and the kids demand you straight away. I know when my kids were little, it was like as soon as I walked in the door, it was just like full on, Mum, can you do this? Can you do that? How can you, I guess, train your family to not, attack you as soon as you walk in the doorway?
Well, that's a really good question, because whilst at retreat, I talk about the healing salves or the balms, and I call it silence, nature, storytelling, movement, and I think it's movement. So all of these things have been used for a really long time by ancient people to help us maintain our health. So if during your day you're not, movement's probably happening, but probably movement out of necessity, not movement for, joy. Silence. Now, not everybody's comfortable with silence, but it is a very restorative thing. And humour. So the idea of knowing as you walk in the door that this could be stressful, I've got people demanding of me, I think you have a right to say, I need 5 minutes, everyone, or maybe 10. If you want to start small, that's fine. And I'm just heading to my room for a little while so that I can come out and be a better mum and a better partner for you tonight, because I need to. And it might be just stepping into a quiet space. I don't know, little kids might be harder, but you've got primary or secondary kids, they should be able to get that. And you literally retreat. If you haven't stayed in the car, you can literally retreat into your room or go and sit in a garden, because nature, we know the importance of ecotherapy, it's called. Nature provides a lot of negative ions which our body needs, especially if it's been, sitting in an office or a car where there's a lot of metal and electricity. So you need to, get your body rid of those MRIs, EMIs, MI, electromagnetic radiation.
Yep, those things. Yep.
Yeah, and so that energetically you're feeling less laden. So if it can't be your bedroom or your own garden, maybe at lunchtime, instead of sitting at the desk with a bowl of food you're hurriedly eating, consciously step away and walk or sit in a park. There's some ways.
Yeah, well, in Adelaide it's pretty easy. It's not so easy in other places, but
No, that's true, I suppose, if you are in COVID. But if you've got your own backyard and, keeping some kind of bit of nature around you, try to get close to it. And water's really good for that as well. So if you are in a position of a Saturday morning, or if you get any time off to walk the beach, especially barefoot, all of those things enhance your central nervous system.
So at your retreats, Mandy, what sort of things do you practice at those retreats?
Well, it's a way of first experiencing a wonderful sense of relaxation at last. And a lot of the women that come in are very wired, which means they're already on high alert, and they've fallen in the door hoping to experience something different. So I do get the body moving with some yoga stretches, and then a beautiful visualization, and allows them about 20 minutes, 30 minutes of deep relaxation. And for some women, they've never been, it's been a long time since they've had half an hour of their own space to relax, not sleep, but to actually go into a different zone. We actually look at some of the theories behind Dr. Libby Weaver's book, Rushing Women Syndrome. And so we understand the reasoning why we women are at this point in history where we once were given we've now got our father's opportunities, but we still have our mother's responsibilities. So we actually have a double shift. So the reason I do what I do is just knowing where we are at this stage of history, where I see so many young women and older women taught, the working women that should work as if she didn't have children, and the mother who needs to parent as if she didn't, wasn't a worker. So that continual conflict is where it does wear you down. So we sit in circle and we talk about worthiness, we talk about the importance of self-care, we talk about the consequences of not tending to it. Where I hold my retreats, they're always in a natural environment, or whilst they're in the city, Sophia has a beautiful garden where we literally sit in silence for half an hour. And that might sound a bit naff, but the reality is once women have been given permission to just go outside and be with themselves in an incredibly peaceful and beautiful place, that is really quite therapeutic. And it's one of the sessions I get great feedback on. And we're reminded of the importance of play. I do a thing at the retreat, a little bit of interplay, where we realise the importance of laughter and lightness and how we can introduce more of it into our lives. And so we play a small amount and we connect and we story tell. And we also do some meditation on that allows us to get back in touch with our intuition and seek and look into our own wisdom and get a bit of clarity on, where we are now and what we'd like to do when we step away from retreat. We make a bit of a commitment to self-care for the rest of, certainly the next week. How are you going to be kind to yourself? And then some of these strategies people adopt and have fed back to me that they found it a really useful day for them to have learnt the strategies, and some of them implement and change some of their mindsets about their own worthiness to be looked after, because the day is intended to nurture women, because women are so frequently the carers and the nurturers. They don't always get that themselves.
Yeah, very true, very true. I don't know, sometimes men need these things as well. Are there any places for men that you know of that can go and get these same sorts of things? Because men are often, burnt out as well. And sometimes they're the carer and the nurturer because there is no woman on the scene.
Absolutely. And, I totally agree that men need it. And men may have a cultural pressure even more so about being driven in terms of their work. I think men's workplaces can create huge amounts of stress for them. However, I just personally find that working with women in an all-women's environment has always been something I feel comfortable with and I feel is within my expertise. There are retreats for men, and I'd have to sort of get onto my Facebook page and be able to find a couple for you. I find sometimes the ability to entice and encourage men to go on these events is often the hard thing. As much as they need it and deserve it, maybe they don't always feel it's okay to take that time out. I don't know. Do you have any answers to that, Rose?
I don't know. I just thought you may know something because, I know I do have a couple of friends that are sole parents and they work and, they could certainly use a bit of time away.
Well, actually, I have. I'm part of a goddess movement with Diane McCann, and that movement does run workshops for men, and the name of which I've forgotten. But if people were to Google Beyond the Ordinary with Diane McCann, there would be somewhere along her tabs opportunities. There's workshops for men as well, which would be highly recommended. Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you for that information. I'm sure that someone will take that up, because I think it's really important that that they get the help that they need for all this stuff, especially in light of what's going on in the community at the moment, and with all the the rallies and so forth, and the workplace bullying and harassments and all sorts of things. I think these retreats are a great way for men and women to, just to chill out, basically.
Yeah, I think chilling out is one thing, and then, well, I will say it, at times at retreat, we get some insight. We actually shed some tears, we get supported. And sometimes it's knowing that you might be in a space with other people who you don't know, that for some people could be a little bit threatening, like vulnerability, as Brene Brown has spoken about in many of her books, is something that many of us are fearful of. But if only we could be willing to display and show it a bit more, how deeper our connections would be and how more, meaningful would our relations be. So, yeah, I think learning certain things in workshops, retreats, is something I've been doing for years and I love doing, but not everybody has that same inclination or desire.
No, I mean, it's horses for courses, really, and if we're all the same, the world would be really boring, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I know there are benefits for not just the person who comes on retreat, because if they've made some mindset shift, if they've acknowledged that they need to be differently and think differently about themselves, then their positive changes will impact on the loved ones around them, and that has to be good for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think mind shift has a lot to do with a lot of things in life, and how you think of yourself and how you think of others. And yeah, if you can make a shift in the positive way, then it's got to benefit everyone. It's a win-win, really.
Yeah, well, my I only recently went on Instagram, and I haven't maintained it a lot, but my handle is Mandy Kindness Coach, because I try to instill the idea that kindness to self will allow you to therefore demonstrate greater kindness to others. And so many of us, not just women, but so many of us can't show that kindness to ourselves because we're so busy out in the world doing it, as perfectly as we can, and not being gentle and kind on ourselves when we know we need some downtime or we need a rest or we just can't keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally 100% agree with you, because I'm not often kind to myself, and I know I should be. And I need to slow down sometimes, and then I get really tired, and then I think, oh, I haven't really done much, but to be honest, I have done quite a lot.
Yes, and I think there's this sense of we've got to be doing to feel productive. Brene Brown mentioned something about we often measure ourselves on our net worth rather than our self-worth. And we are human beings, after all, not human doings.
That's it, or human machines.
Yeah.
Cyborgs, not yet anyway.
Not yet anyway, no.
Yeah. So, Mandy, have you written any books other than, doing your retreats?
To be honest, Rose, I really thrive on one-to-one and group interactions. Having been a teacher for a long time, having attended retreats with wonderful facilitators and doing a bit of public speaking and as a celebrant, I do like spending my time enjoying and experiencing people, and find that so much stuff bounces off of others, and sitting down and writing stuff, which I honestly think there's enough books out there on the topic that I would call myself an expert in. I just tend to create or gather bits of information from wonderful writers and then try to put it in a form that is sort of easy and understandable and then able to be implemented. So I like to be helping people do it, understand it and experience it rather than read it. But my hat's off to anybody who does sit down and want to put their stuff in.
Yeah, I don't know. Yes, me too. I that was one of my goals this year, and I was still humming and ahhing about it. It's just, I don't know.
Do you feel passionately about? Do you like writing?
I have to be in the mood.
Yeah, same here. I enjoy writing and doing short bits and blogs, but to create it in an order that's sequential and all of that, no, I haven't thought about it.
No. All right then. So where can people find you, Mandy?
They can find me on my website at www.welcometowellness.com.au, or my Facebook is Adelaide Day Retreats.
Perfectly perfect. Well, I'm so glad that you joined me today. Is there anything that you would like to impart to our audience before we finish up today?
I just encourage you all to acknowledge that your health is your wealth. And if your business is consuming you and worrying you, question, what are you working so hard for? Are you getting time to enjoy what it is you're working so hard for? And to ensure that you have an attitude of balance and kindness to yourself when you know you've reached your limit. It's okay to say, I need to stop and rest.
Perfect. All right, Mandy, thank you. I've so enjoyed our chat today, and I'll look forward to talking to you very soon, probably.
Okay, Rose, that would be lovely. Thank you for having
All
me
right,
on.
thanks, Mandy. Bye-bye.
Bye.